Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 015 Research Methodology for Management Decisions for MBA program. Presenting Block 3 Data Presentation and Analysis, Unit 8 Data Processing.
Objectives. After studying this unit, you should be able to 1. Explain the significance of data presentation. 2. Describe various types of data classification. 3. Develop appropriate data tabulation and presentation devices. Introduction. The data collected from the field has to be processed and analyzed as laid down in the research plan. The processing of data primarily means editing, coding, classification, and the tabulation of the data collected so that they are amenable to analysis. In this unit, therefore, we shall concentrate on the various aspects of processing of data. Further, the presentation of data can be either in tabulation forms or through charts. In Unit 2, Block 1, of Quantitative Analysis of Managerial Applications, Mmpc 005, you have been introduced to the basic concepts of presentation of data. You are, therefore, advised to refer to it for better understanding of this unit. Editing of data. The editing of data is a process of examining the raw data to detect errors and omissions and to correct them, if possible, so as to ensure completeness, consistency, accuracy, and homogeneity. This will facilitate coding and tabulation of data. In fact, the editing involves a careful scrutiny of the completed questionnaires. The editing can be done at 2 stages, field editing and central editing. Field editing. The field editing consists of review of the reporting forms by the investigator for completing or translating what the latter has written in abbreviated form at the time of interviewing the respondent. This form of editing is necessary in view of the writing of individuals, which vary from individual to individual and sometimes difficult for the tabulator to understand. This sort of editing should be done as soon as possible after the interview, as it may be necessary sometimes to recall the memory. While doing so, care should be taken so that the investigator does not correct the errors of omission by simply guessing what the respondent would have answered if the question was put to him or her. Central editing. Central editing should be carried out when all the forms of schedules have been completed and returned to the headquarters. This type of editing requires that all the forms are thoroughly edited by a single person in a small field study or a small group of persons in case of a large field study. The editor may correct the obvious errors, such as an entry in a wrong place, entry recorded in a daily terms, whereas it should have been recorded in weeks or months, etc. Sometimes, inappropriate or missing replies can also be recorded by the editor by reviewing the other information recorded in the schedule. If necessary, the respondent may be contacted for clarification. All the incorrect replies, which are quite obvious, must be deleted from the schedules. The editor should be familiar with the instructions and the codes given to the interviewers while editing. The new entry made by the editor should be in some distinctive form and they be initiated by the editor. The date of editing may also be recorded on the schedule for any future references. Coding of data. Coding is the process of assigning some symbols, alphabetical or numerals or both, to the answers so that the response can be recorded into a limited number of classes or categories. The classes should be appropriate to the research problem being studied. They must be exhaustive and must be mutually exclusive so that the answer can be placed in one and only one cell in a given category. Further, every class must be defined in terms of only one concept. The coding is necessary for the efficient analysis of data. The coding decisions should usually be taken at the designing stage of the questionnaire itself, so that the likely responses to questions are pre-coded. This simplifies computer tabulation of the data for further analysis. It may be noted that any errors in coding should be eliminated altogether or at least be reduced to the minimum possible level. Classification of data. In most research studies, voluminous raw data collected through a survey need to be reduced into homogeneous groups for any meaningful analysis. This necessitates classification of data, which in simple terms is the process of arranging data in groups or classes on the basis of some characteristics. Classification helps in making comparisons and drawing meaningful conclusions. Classification can either be according to attributes or according to numerical characteristics. In case of classification according to attributes, the data is classified by descriptive, that is, sex, caste, education, landholding, etc. The descriptive characteristics refer to qualitative phenomena which cannot be measured quantitatively. Only their presence or absence in an individual item can be observed. This classification can either be simple or manifold. In case of simple classification, also referred to as classification according to dichotomy. Each class is divided into two subclasses and only one attribute is studied, such as employed or unemployed, resident or non-resident, married or unmarried, etc. In case of manifold classification, more than one attributes are considered and therefore the classification leads to the formation of a number of classes and subclasses. For example, industries may be classed as belonging to public sector or private sector. Among each of these broad classes, there can be a second-level classification in terms of large and small, which can further be classified as profit-making and loss-making and so on. This process of subclassification is carried, keeping in view our basic purpose for which the classification is required. The objectives have to be clearly defined before the classification can be carried out. Further, the attributes should be defined in such a way that there is least possibility of ambiguity concerning the said attributes. When individual observations possess numerical characteristics such as height, weight, marks, income, etc., they are classified on the basis of class intervals. For example, persons whose monthly income is between Rs 1001 and Rs 1500 may form one group. Those whose income is within Rs 1501 and Rs 2000 may form another group, and so on. In this manner, the entire data may be divided into a number of groups or classes, which are usually called class intervals. The number of items in each class is called the frequency of the class. Every class has two limits, an upper limit and a lower limit, which are known as class limits. The difference between these two limits is called the magnitude of the class or the class interval. Several aspects of classification of data have been detailed in Unit 6, Block 2 of Quantitative Analysis for Managerial Applications. You are advised to refer to that study material. Tables as data presentation devices. Statistically, data can be presented in the forms of table and graph. In the tabular form, the classification of data is made with reference to time or some other variable. The graphs are used as a visual form of presentation of data. The tabulation is used for summarization and condensation of data. It aids in analysis of relationships, trends, and other summarization of the given data. The tabulation may be simple or complex. Simple tabulation results in one-way tables, which can be used to answer questions related to one characteristics of the data. The complex tabulation usually results in two-way tables, which give information about two interrelated characteristics of the data. Three-way tables which give information about three interrelated characteristics of data, and still higher order tables which supply information about several interrelated characteristics of data. Following are the important characteristics of a table. 1. Every table should have a clear and concise title to make it understandable without reference to the text. This title should always be just above the body of the table. 2. Every table should be given a distinct number to facilitate easy reference. 3. Every table should have captions and stubs, and they should be clear and brief. 4. The units of measurements used must always be indicated. 5. Source or sources from where the data in the table have been obtained must be indicated at the bottom of the table. 6. Explanatory footnotes, if any, concerning the table should be given beneath the table along with reference symbol. 7. The columns in the tables may be numbered to facilitate reference. 8. Abbreviation should be used to the minimum possible extent. 9. The table should be logical, clear, accurate, and as simple as possible. 10. The arrangement of the data categories in a table may be chronological, geographical, alphabetical, or according to magnitude to facilitate comparison. 11. Finally, the table must suit the needs and requirements of the research study. Summary. We have in this unit discussed the various aspects of data processing. The importance of editing and coding of data before any processing has been emphasized here. In any research studies, the voluminous data can be handled only after classifying the same. The various aspects of classification, summarization, and presentation of data have been discussed.
You were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code Mmpc 015 Research Methodology for Management Decisions. Course Coordinator Dr. Venkataya Chittipaka, Associate Professor from School of Management Studies IGNOU. Voiceover by Renuka. Edited by Savita. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.